Така, започваме. Секунда. Само трябва да спра. Is it live? I think we are going live. Hello, my
Hello.
This is Lada from astrological.com, and today I want to present to you an incredible astrologer I've been following for many years now, who makes predictions to the day, especially correct about all disasters that happen. He's very famous here in the world, here in Bulgaria. He is on TV a lot. He predicts to the place where earthquakes happen and such kind of things with astrology. And he's also incredibly knowledgeable about esoteric astrology. His name is Philip Filipov. Welcome, Philip. Thank you for joining me.
Thank you that you invite me, Lada. I'm really pleased and thankful for your work and your presentation. You work amazing things in your channel, and I'm very, very happy that you invite me and I'm part from your trend of development.
Well, Philip Filipov works and is close friends also with Rumen Kolev, and someone you know from the channel as well. But he's one of the astrologers that are reviving ancient astrology and making it a force of power again. Plus, you are very knowledgeable on anthroposophy and Rudolf Steiner and other esoteric teachings. So I'm super excited to hear everything you have to tell us for current times, future times, also to say some of the things you've predicted in the past.
Yes. Okay, I first a little bit explain and present my work, and then I will speak about the situation, what's happened now and near future. First, my work started around 1992, and my first step was to develop my personal software because I just finished mathematical school in Varna, and I learned about primary directions and so on. And in this situation, I start to visualize how the horoscope should be three-dimensional, because in one of the lectures of Master Peter Dunov, he directly explained that the houses in the horoscope have surface. And this idea, like geometry, exploded my mind, and I start to understand that Master speaks about the fact that horoscope have three-dimensional concepts. And then I programmed on my computer. This was 1995, 1996, the first three-dimensional point of view and model of the horoscope. And this was practically the first software in the world that make three-dimensional chart for any horoscope. After this, I developed my work into the area of physics. I studied physics, and then in magister degree, I studied consciously the way and modern science about philosophy of mind, neuro sciences, and my idea was that deeply in my intuition is the fact that between modern physics, between consciousness and astrology, there are deep connection, and this connection explained by a totally new point of view the universe and our life on Earth, together with ancient knowledge and the future development of humankind. And successfully, I developed one fractal point of view about consciousness, and on the basis of this, I succeed to develop physical model, which is practically the first scientific unification of all theories till now that are developed from around 5 to 7 professors and people in astrology, PhD and people and so on. And I present this model on the first European conference that's happening in 2019. And from scientific point of view, we have already physical theory which explains exactly the concept of astrology. And on the basis of the fractal holographic point of view, we developed in one team with one of the greatest scientists in the world, one friend of mine, Canadian lecturer. He was on the conference, on the second conference, European, and we together developed this universal model, which is on the basis of the quantum physics of David Bohm. And from this point of view, we make and establish for the first time modern physical theory which explain astrology. With this, we liquidate the attack against astrology from these debunkers, these people that hate the ancient knowledge, which are arrogant to the tradition of thousands of years. And with this, we liquidate the idea that physics is one pseudoscience because there is no theoretical explanation. No, there is theoretical explanation. There are factology a lot. This is one level of scientific development of the higher methodology of the astrology, and together scientific explanation of astrology. This is one level. The second level of me is publical experiments in the level of astrology, which I started before around 10 years. This was the end of 2011 when I formulated in my consciousness that I should establish in social networks some environment which helps people to understand the power and the predictive abilities of astrology. Why? Because if astrology has scientific basis, we should demonstrate ability for predictions which are mind-blowing, which are liquidate any skepticism in humankind. And that's why first thing that I start in this time, I work in one company which make iPhone applications. And I start with one software application about iPhone, which was called Astrology 2012. And there I explained 36 important events in cosmic point of view, and give ability to people to check their horoscope together with these events. And interestingly, in 2012, I point one very important datum, 20 and 21st of May 2012, and I explained there that there will be powerful seismic activity into the world. And in this situation, exactly in this moment, two powerful earthquakes happened in Bulgaria and Italy. And this was the famous Pernik earthquake in Bulgaria, which still now in our modern history is the most powerful earthquake. And this happened exactly in the moment. In this situation, journalists start to ask me about these questions, and I start to explain what's happened after. And in July and August, I fixated the myth of these 2 months, especially in July, where I explained that Bulgaria, Israel, and some other countries are in, how to say, in really very big danger into the situation, into the context of terrorist acts. And exactly into the datum, which I predict into TV ether, into TV environment, in national TV situation, I explained the datum and the situation about terroristic event. And exactly in this datum, practically one of the worst terroristic acts happened in Bulgaria. This was the explosions of one bus with Israeli tourists, and this happened into the one of the airports in Bulgaria. And with this, the prediction about terrorist act connected with Bulgaria and Israel was exactly precise. And from this situation, how to say, people and medias and TV start to ask me very oftenly. And in one important case, something very interesting happened. The explanation that in 2013, just before the end of 2012, I make one prediction about the fact that it is possible into the first part of the 2013, first 2 months around, that there will be some strange cosmic event which is connected with some possibilities. For example, very huge storm on the sun, dropping of some asteroid or explosion, near explosion to Earth about asteroid, or some situation which is connected with much more powerful energy of supernova, for example. And I predict this on the basis of Uranus model, Uranus energies and influences in the global horoscope. And on the basis of this situation, I explained together with this that in February, there will be big problems of aviation industry. And what's happened exactly? Chelyabinsk meteorite dropped down into Russia. And this, if the angle of dropping was more direct, not so steep, this will be explosion more powerful than the first atomic explosion of Hiroshima and Nagasaki. And in this situation, the second very important event was the fact that Boeing, the firm of one of the most important aviation firms, was very close to fall because the most modern airplane, which start to be produced, make a huge problem with fire on from batteries, electrical batteries on this model. And this happened again like a prediction, but the most powerful, how to say, year was 2014, and they again invite me in 2013, and I explain 7 different predictions, which all of them are exactly happening in 2014. I will tell only some of them. First, I explained that very close to us nation, which are relative of us, we will be in very difficult army and a war situation. This was the first prognosis. Second prognosis was that several banks and maybe countries will be in fallit situation. After this, I explained that there will be powerful revolution in physics, which changed the whole vision about the universe. After this, I predict about possible problematic prediction and situation, which is realized like an event about possible pandemic or epidemic of dangerous illness. And of course, some other 3 prognoses, which it was not so important. And the interesting thing is that journalists of famous in this moment television, which was national television, make this situation for 28 minutes around. And after this, the events happen. And the same journalists make a new television about that this all events happened. Wow. And the most important event was the war between Ukraine and Russia, because Ukraine is very connected with Bulgaria historically. Practically one of the greatest king of Bulgaria create Ukraine first kingdom. And this is the first. Second, pandemic was not but epidemic with Ebola and into United States. After this, the fallit of banks, Russia was very close to the big problem financial. In Portugal, there were very big problems. And in Bulgaria, this was interesting situation. The television, which was practically sponsoring the same television, which are make the interviews, make fallit for 4 billions of level.
They had
this is
bankers.
Yes, this was an incredible precision which we reached in this public experiments. But practically, there is an astrological model. I explained this in many medias, that with which we have ability to predict exact the major earthquakes from 5.5 upper, 6, 7, 8, 9 in this diapason, because all other earthquakes are very often happen. And that's why they are not important to be predicted. And that's why we predict only the bigger earthquakes and only important earthquakes for humankind. This is possible with astrology and with one special help of astrophysics. If you study physics, if you study physics and you understand astrophysics, you develop astrology in these models, and this really helps me. After this, the most important model that is very often happen like a prediction, it is the model of events connected with aviation problematics. Mm-hmm. This is deeply connected with Uranus, for example, and some other situations. Until now, I have around between 10 and 20 exact predictions for aviation problems or catastrophes or of airplanes. The last one, before several days, I predict the fact that there will be a situation like this. And I show exactly on Earth where the possible lines happen with special real-time video in Facebook. And very interestingly, one airplane start to flight from Casablanca to Turkey, where exactly in Istanbul, crossing one important line in this situation. And because of incident on the airplane, they incidentally, how to say, should be landing in one island near Spain. Exactly there was another line which I showed before, 2 days before the event. And this is the last situation. But one of the most powerful prediction that I make about airplanes, they are around 20, and everybody of you, you may go to my Facebook account, which is facebook.com Philip Filipov with F, not with PH, but with F, Philip Filipov.astrolog, or facebook.com / astrophilip. And there you will see exactly so many predictions about airplane crashing or something like this. One of the most powerful prediction was the fact that I saw one model in astrological situation, and 2 weeks before the situation, I explained that some crazy person will crash the airplane and make big problems with airplane. What's happened? Exactly into the moment of this strange solar eclipse, which happened around the, how to say, the first spring moment. In this situation, one German pilot became crazy, if you remember, and the crash one airplane into the mountains. And this happened exactly to the day.
Yeah, and you said a crazy person will do it.
Yes, exactly. And this was in the prediction that crazy person have ability to make crashing of the airplane. And this is the second model, which is very exactly how to say astrologically predict. After this, the same concept, but a little bit modified like astrological model, have ability to predict bigger explosions with petroleum refinery or petroleum pipelines or gas pipelines or energetic things connected with electricity and so on. The last exact prediction was the explosion of the biggest refinery of Romania, which was again exactly into this model. And this happened like a huge explosion visible from cosmos. After this, in Bulgaria, it was one very crazy situation, which I do not predict, but I analyze about what's happened. This was the explosion about Hitrino, which was a very strange situation. One train full with gas resources explode and liquidate the whole region in this. And when I analyzed the model, practically I saw that this model exactly showed that point where this happened. And I explained this publicly, and this became famous in Bulgaria. The third model is the problem with atomic energy stations that produce electricity with atomic power, or incident connected with radioactive materials. This is exactly very often predicted, and exactly how to say, like a model, like position. And of one of my friends which are connected with this how to say, concepts and situation, because he worked in one of the atomic stations. I explained to him that I have ability to make prediction about this model 100 years into the future, because the model is mind-blowing sharp. When it's happened, this model, always on Earth happen some problem with radioactive elements or weapons, or some explosion testing of atomic power, or some situation connected with electrical atomic stations. And on the basis of these three models, I make a lot of things. But the fourth model is connected with incidents on traveling, and when people, how to say, are in danger. And about this, around 2013, 2014, I started to develop my personal next level software, my, how to say, my new version of the software from 1996, which was called Sirius. And I make a new version, this time with the help of 3-4 people, which are helping me, all these algorithms, which I developed about 20-25 years, to put in the most modern software abilities. And one of my first idea was not only to develop newest three-dimensional chart horoscope, which I showed to you, and this is the best three-dimensional astrological software in the world. If somebody has something better, let's show this to us.
I'm sure.
This is the best into the world, and I will show you and explain to you why. And the second important thing which I developed there was exactly one simple algorithm, which algorithm is to give ability to people to put their datum and information for the birth into software, and software automatically to give information to these people in which moments they are in danger. Health danger or total danger from other things. And I developed graphical representation, which are simple graphics, which shows minimums. And when these two models, one of the models are for health and another model is for risk. And if these two models are connected together and make minimum together on the basis of personal horoscope, and of course transits and some other models, you get really danger on the level of health. But only a model of risk make minimum, but health model do not have minimum. You have danger in other points of view. And with this software, I realized this software. Why? Because several friends of mine go away from this world exactly in these situations. And I saw the model. I saw the practically situation, astrological situation, which when it's happened, make really very, very big danger about each person. And when I formulate this and visualize software like graphics, it helps really to thousands of people, because everybody in the world have ability to use this software, which is on the address astroman.com. And this software, I developed three-dimensional astrology there, the ancient primary direction by Hermes, which are not present into the software from Enkorev Placidus. And the only one software in the world which make this is my software, astroman.com. And after this, I developed their graphical representations of prognostical events and textual transformation and interpretation of the horoscopes in English and in Bulgarian, with thousands of pages for each personal horoscope. This is practically the first software in the world that have ability to give you ability to practice ancient method of interpretation. In what? Ancient people use thematical interpretation. When one person went to one temple of Egypt, temple of astrology, for example, the priest asked what is the most important for the person. What is the connection with parents? What will happen with family life of this person? If he or she have children in the future, what will be the death, the situation in life, what kind of profession or work he should do, and so on. This was the thematics. There are around 20, 30 thematics, which are written in ancient books of ancient authors. And about this, I developed 25 thematics in this software, and you may choose one of these thematics and to interpret your horoscope or the horoscope in future prognostical situation, for example, primary direction or transits or progressions, into focusing exactly this topic that you are interested in. And interpretation about each of these themes have ability to give you hundreds of pages of information that no astrologer have ability to give you, because no astrologer will work for you for 1 month or 3 months only for your horoscope. And this software gives so much information that if I speak this information, I should speak several months. Mm-hmm. And about this is the, how to say, the first software in the world that interprets textually in English and in Bulgarian, and from English any language in the world, because the translation softwares, the primary directions to the angles and primary directions to Hermes method, you have ability to interpret this, to understand which primary directions, which means what exactly will happen with this primary direction. And software that make textual interpretation of primary direction is a revolutionary situation into astrology, how to say, development. But when I work about first and second European conference, now will happen the third European conference after some days, and I will explain if you ask me about this. I developed one very important connection with the Egypt astrology. And exactly about this, if you wish, I may show you one software, one part of the software about ancient Egypt astrology. But
yes,
if you wish only.
Share.
Okay.
Share. And three-dimensional astrology is like you see your horoscope as if it's the sphere.
Yes, I will show exactly this.
And that you basically don't just see, oh, your rising sign, you see all the constellations that were around you.
Mm-hmm, exactly.
It's only, like, for example, someone who has dolphin on the eastern horizon when they were born, they could really work with dolphins. So something very kind of literal. Yes.
Do you see sharing now?
Yes.
Yes, exactly. This is the three-dimensional sphere into internet conditions. You may enter in astroman.com on computer, of course, or laptop. And when you go to three-dimensional tab of the software, you may switch into this, and you will see your personal three-dimensional sphere. And this is, if we zoom with the mouse, here, let I turn on in English, sorry. Okay. And when you enter into this situation, you may see your exact ascendant. Into the lectures of Rumen, he explained the fact that ascendant practically into most traditions into ancient time are one crossing point between east horizon and ecliptic. But practically, this is how to say, yes, this is partly true and partly not true. The whole concept is that the Parantelonta, which I and Rumen speak on the basis of ancient authors like Theocrus and Hermes and Hephaestion, for example, they speak, and Manilius too. They speak the fact that Parantelonta is practically the line of ascendant, which is not point only, but one line which starts from north through east till the south. You have one line, and this line, how to say, all constellations, all stars rising together on this line. And this is called Parantelonta. Practically, Parantelonta is one highest form of your ascendant. Ascendant, for example, like a simple astrology point of view, is crossing of this ecliptic blue line with east horizon, the white line. But Parantelonta is practically the whole white line. And when you
So
see
every constellation that was on the horizon, east, west, when you look around, east, west, north, around you, it's all those constellations will describe something from your life.
Exactly. And from a east horizon, exactly which the line starts from north, crossing to the east and go through this point to the south. This is called Parantelonta, and this is practically your true ascendant. This line forms the real line of your first house. And this first house, if you look carefully here, you may see one second curve, which is practically the cuspid of the second house. And all these constellations that are into this first surface are the constellations which are into your first house. And your first house is not one, how to say, line only, but one surface from the sky. And wow. This explains why Master Peter Dunov, which was creator, which is the creator of Bulgarian astrological school, explained that each house is have surface, and if in this surface you have powerful stars, you have more powerful house. And with this software, you have ability to count how many powerful stars is in each of your houses and to interpret what this means exactly. Mm-hmm. And Parantelonta, I explain what it means, but Dinonta is one terminology which do not exist in ancient authors. Only in Hermes there is some points of view, but he do not speak about Dinonta, which is term that Rumen developed for the first time, Rumen Kolev. And Dinonta is these constellations which sets into the moment of your birth, into the west. And this line is practically your seven house line, not point, but line. And this line starts again from the north, cross the west, and go to the south. And this is called Dinonta, and it is very, very important for your partnership's life, and explain what's happened with your partnership life. Practically, when I interpret one horoscope, I interpret it three-dimensionally. Each constellation, each star, each three-dimensional position of the planet is totally important and give special energy for each horoscope. For example, in this situation, you may see that blue line, which is the line of ecliptic, the zodiac, cross the western horizon here, where are the constellation between the constellations of the Sagittarius and Scorpio. But practically, you may see that into the west position, exactly where the equator crosses the horizon, you may see here one snake. And this is the constellation, which is part from the constellation Ophiuchus, which is the 13 from all 14 zodiacal constellation. I am not wrong. There are 14, not 12, not 13, but 14. And you may see this on the three-dimensional software. And the idea that you have one snake setting on the west horizon, it means if the person is born in this situation, it means that he should be very careful, with all women or men that are partners of him, that they have ability to explain, to produce, to channel the archetype of snakes into the personal life. And you do not see this totally in this two-dimensional flat McDonald's horoscope. I speak about flat horoscopes, like a McDonald's horoscopes, which they lose the total concept of ancients, which they working with three-dimensional concept with all constellations. They speak about every star, and they work with the whole sky, which is sphere, not circle, not McDonald's circle. And from this point of view,
so you don't even need to use planets here. You just look at pictures and it's like, oh, look
exactly.
at
And if you wish to use planets, you have ability to switch with disk, with symbols, and you see all information directly. The most interesting thing here is that I developed different points of view, and I spoke about Egypt situations. Okay, let I switch on Egypt concept.
Oh, Egyptian constellations.
Yes, and these Egyptian constellations, they come directly from the greatest book of ancient Egypt, which survived till now, and it is called Dendera Temple. When you go into the Dendera Temple, practically this is one huge book of astrology, and you may study astrology from every part of this temple. And when there are two zodiacs there, for example, one circle zodiac, which is very famous, and one linear zodiac. And in these days, I study Egyptology and go deeper into the ancient text, and I get the symbols, the images from all this temple, from these two different zodiacs, and I put exactly where they are on the sky. And you receive one three-dimensional point of view with ancient Egypt constellations, which are very, very interesting and different from the Hellenistic or ancient classical point of view about constellations. And this is, for example, the Big Bear constellation is connected with god Set, which was into one great battle with Hor about destiny of Egypt. And you know that Hor is the light connected with the good and divine powers, and Set was on the how to say, on the level for destruction and chaos. And in this situation, Hor make a winning and get the battle and destroy the Set. And part of him was part only of Set, like one part of the bull or part of the leg of one bull was put it on the sky. And especially goddess Isis into one very strange form of goddess Tauret, which is goddess connected with how to say, one hippopotamus or some strange other beings together, mixed together. This goddess Tauret holds the North Pole, and Big Bear rotates around this North Pole and stay there always, because Isis and Hor put this enemy of the good and justice to be in one jail, and this jail was this part of the sky. And why? Because for ancient Egypt people, the north and all that comes from north are connected with danger, with some chaotic situation. And this is whole story, one lecture about what's happened in Egypt and this astrological thing. And very interestingly, when I analyzed these two constellations, I found totally new layer of information which have ability to date the temple of Dendera. And the dating of this temple is much, much earlier than modern science think about this temple. And this is because with exactly this situation here, with which Tauret holds on the North Pole, you may check the moment when this North Pole was there and when the North Pole was exactly in this position. And this is much, much earlier than simple,
how many thousand years?
Around 2,000-3,000 years older. And I will make a special lecture about this and publication about this. And then I will present the exact datum. Another super important information in the Dendera temple is, I wish to say to you and to all friends of astrology, that in this temple there is a story and concept visualized with images and hieroglyphs, which shows the beginning of our race, the first moment, the Zet Tepi, how to say time, the first time. This is a special term in astrology and ancient Egypt history, which present the moment where the creation, where the gods was here, where everything was created and realized, and from where the whole humankind start to exist and to develop. And you may date this moment exactly. And I make this dating, and this is mind-blowing, and really connects the situation with the moment when Atlantis was destroyed by the story of Plato, and our modern period of time, post-Atlantic period of time started.
So it shows when Atlantis was destroyed and the
exactly
race started.
Yes, and all this information you have ability to study in this three-dimensional software. And very interestingly, when you switch on the how to say the modern galaxy or ancient, for example, let I switch to ancient constellations. You may remove all constellations that are new constellations that are put it around 16th, 17th, 18th century, and you may use only the ancient constellations. This is the first. After this, each constellation, I make a picture for this constellation, which is totally connected with esoteric tradition, because astrology developed itself. It's not stay into period 2000 years before, understand me? And from a tradition of Master Peterdonov, we know, for example, that there is a involutionary astrology and evolutionary astrology. And evolutionary astrology is totally different from the ancient involutionary astrology. Why? Because into the moment when these ancient books was written, the situation of humankind was totally different from the modern situation. Then in this period of time of ancient tradition, the whole humankind comes from spirit and goes directly to the earth, to the matter. That's why all culture, all scientific development, astrology too, are in service about this, to come from spirit and to go to earth. And that's why this is involutionary projection, coming to earth projection. And that's why, how to say, in ancient texts, you may see very often that the negative interpretations dominates. Why? Because with these negative energies, the spirits that lives in very high advanced world slowly enters in material world, which is connected with this fight between good and evil, and this negative forces a little bit dominate in this materialistic situation that is around. One day this will be changed when the evolutionary process continues and reach one level. But in this moment, we should work in totally other direction, going from matter, from physical world, again into spiritual world, and this is called evolutional direction.
Started around 2000 years ago that we started evolution from
exactly, and I may show why exactly this happened.
So
this happened
from 2000 years is becoming evolutionary and not
involutionary. Exactly. And this happened why? Because into the tradition of esoteric tradition of many different sources, not only one source, but many traditions. All of them, they are united in one spiritual tradition, which is universal. It's not important from where you come, like a religion, from Buddhist tradition, Hinduist tradition, Zoroastrian tradition, Egypt tradition, Pythagorean tradition, or Thracian tradition of that is very connected with us. Zalmoxis, Orpheus, and Hercules was Thracians, and that's why we have our tradition. If you come from one of these traditions, or Christian tradition, or Muslim tradition, it is not important. All these traditions are connected and unified in one divine tradition, which is connected with the great mysteries of sun, our star. And why? Because the sun is living being in ancient esoteric tradition. This is explained very well. And in esoteric point of view, the consciousness of the sun, the spirit of the sun, is practically this divine being, which we call today Christ, but ancient Egypt people called Osiris, Zoroastrian people called Aura Mazdao, Hinduist people called Vishwakarman. After this, the Kabbalistic tradition called Adam Kadmon, and all these names is one and the same being, and this being come to earth and change the direction of development of humankind. And it means it's changed the direction of development of astrology too. That's why in modern astrology, esoteric, true, divine astrology, which is connected with watching of the sky, connection with the spirits of the planet, the divine spirits of the planet, working with the highest human forms of humankinds of each planet, because Master Peter Donov and Rudolf Steiner explained very explicitly that each planet is full with life and have humankind, which is not on the physical level, but on etheric, astral, or mental level. And we should connect with the highest and most developed beings in each of these planets. And after this, we should develop our consciousness in this situation and go to the spiritual path in this situation on Earth that help us to develop our horoscope of the next reincarnation. If you live correctly for Venus sphere, for example, then you will have very good Venus into the next reincarnation. If you develop the qualities of Mercury and Mercury sphere, you will have much better position of your Mercury in next reincarnation. And all these situations are explained into esoteric astrology, which is on the basis of Neoplatonic astrology. And this is how to say one continuation of the real true astrology teaching, because after Christ, around 6th to 7th century, one tragical event happened in astrological development. The divine will was that the ancient tradition of ancient schools of ancient knowledge and spiritual knowledge that was based in Europe in Athena philosophical school, this tradition should be, by point of view of God direction and God will, should be connected with the Christian development, with the theology and spirituality of Christianity. But one Emperor Justinian closed this Athena school, destroy astrological development of Europe, and throw away ancient astrologist traditions, and they go away from Europe to direction of modern Iran. And this was one of the worst moments of development of the astrology. Why? Because in this situation, the tradition of astrology in Europe was interrupted. Only in Bulgaria, for example, King Simeon, one of the greatest emperor, which make the empire of Bulgaria, which rules the whole Balkan Peninsula, in this time, he used astrology, for example, and practices in army situation. When he make huge battles with Byzantium Empire, he used astrology, and he laughed to the emperor of Byzantium because he was very poor disciple into the into the moments when astrology was explained into in Constantinople conditions, when they learn astrology, continue to learn astrology after the destruction of Athena philosophical school. And we may speak so many things, but for example, do you see into the software, one moment to make one zoom, do you see how here Saturn is totally connected with one position of left fish, which into the ancient tradition is visualized by Hermes like Athena Pallas, the wisdom goddess, and half of the fish is Athena Pallas, another half is fish, and this is written into ancient text.
I see it's a woman.
Yes, exactly. This is the goddess Athena Pallas, and this is the place of her on the cosmos. You do not see this.
That's where my Sun and Venus are.
Exactly, and you do not see this nowhere into the software conditions, because nobody take the information from ancient books and visualize this information in three-dimensional software, astrological software, not astronomical. You have 3 to 5 to 10 different astronomical softwares, but they are not astrological software. And I explain why. And after this fish crossed the ecliptic in one point. And you may see here the cross with roses on this moment. And this is one symbol of the moment when exactly the crucifixion and the mystery of Golgotha happened astrologically, because the moment of the spring equinox was exactly here when the mystery of Golgotha happened. That's why this position have not only the ancient concepts of explanations, but this point have deeply spiritual meaning, which is connected exactly with the most important mystery of Christianity, of esoteric tradition of Christianity, which are deeply connected with the consciousness of the sun, which is practically the creator of astrological influence into the whole solar system. Mm-hmm. And after this, you may see here, for example, that, for example, I show you the 14th and 13th constellations, zodiacal constellations. You see here the ancient position for Hercules, or for example, Osiris in two different traditions, or in Greek tradition, this is the constellation Orion. But in how to say, in Thracian tradition, which is the original source of ancient constellations, these constellations are not Greek, because when you analyze all of them, you will see so much Thracian legends. You may see a lot of information which come directly from the Thracian culture and Thracian teachings. And if you see here, the weapon of Hercules, or the weapon of Osiris, or the weapon of the Orion, cross the ecliptic into this situation. Do you see it, Lada? Okay.
Yes, sorry, I'm just charging the laptop because it's
no problem. You may see here that just between the constellation Twin and the constellation Taurus, you have one position of crossing of the weapon of Orion with the ecliptic. And the other situation is exactly where the Ophiuchus stepped on the ecliptic. And this is the 13th and the 14th constellations on the sky. And they are visualized in ancient books, and you should use this information for development of, how to say, the highest point of view, three-dimensional point of view in astrology. And practically, the point of view in astrology is not only three-dimensional. Why? Because if you visualize the dynamics of sphere of the whole sky, and you move this sphere into time to make the primary direction, you have ability to see the fourth dimensions of the horoscope that you made. Why? Because the time is the four dimensions, and when you move the whole sphere to make the primary directions, you make practically one four-dimensional horoscope. And this is one innovation that we go further in astrology. But we do not stop here. Practically, there are fifth-dimensional horoscope. Why? Because if you work with the esoteric tradition of ancients, if you work with evolutionary astrology of modern time, which comes directly from the sources of esoteric Christianity, which is universal teaching and unified all spiritual traditions and religions in one tradition, you have understanding that you should accept your horoscope, but like a disciple, spiritual disciple of the sun, spiritual disciple of the consciousness of the sun, which is Christ, you should work with your horoscope alchemically. You should develop your horoscope with virtues. You should transform your horoscope evolutionary. And when you make this, you practically work on the fifth dimensional horoscope. Why? Because you have ability to move and transform events into past and into the future, into the conditions of your horoscope, to work with them deeply. And with this concept, you practically work higher from the fourth dimension into the fifth dimension of your horoscope. Fifth dimension of your horoscope is practically alchemically working of your horoscope. This is the philosophical stone which transform your horoscope. And
can you give me one example?
yes.
For example, like this person whose horoscope we're looking at, who have
okay, if you wish, I may look your horoscope.
Well,
if you wish, of course. Well, if you do not wish,
okay.
Give me one example, some person that you know the datum, and I put the datum.
Okay, 14th of April.
1 second. Which year?
81.
One moment. 81. Here, April 14th.
Yes.
Okay. And time around, because it's important for three-dimensional sphere?
3:20 in the morning.
3 in the morning, 20.
Yes.
Okay, yes. But the place is super important here. Without the place, we do not have ability to know nothing. And which is the city?
Yambol.
Yambol. Okay, one moment. This is not far away from. Okay, I may, because we may to say, use too much time. I will put Veliki Ternul, which is a little bit closer, but not so much. But we may use this.
So everyone can see the 3D horoscope there on this software, yeah?
Yes. Okay. One moment. Save. Close. Okay. Close. And with this, you have already the three-dimensional chart. Only to zoom out a little bit and to enter normally into your horoscope. Okay. For example, do you know, let me check the situation. Do you know the ascendant of this person?
That's my ascendant.
Aha, okay. And let me put them here, the divisions of the zodiac. These divisions you may see here. This is very important for one astrological chart. You have zodiacal division, 15-degree division, half of the zodiac, which is super important division, decanads, terms, dodecatemorias, monomorias, which are 1 degree. And if we put tropical zodiac, how we see here, you may see exactly where the ascendant of the one person crossing the how to say ecliptic and east horizon, they are crossing in one moment. And with this, you may see your personal ascendant, where it is. What is your ascendant in two-dimensional horoscope?
Two-dimensional is 2 degrees Aquarius in tropical.
Exactly. You see here, between red line, this red line and this red line is visualized Aquarius. Do you see here the symbol?
Yes.
Okay. And the crossing between blue line and white line, which is the point of simple ascendant, two-dimensional ascendant, is exactly into the beginning of this. You may switch on here the monomore degrees, and you may see exactly that there is only one, maybe small 1 degree difference between fact that you are born in Yambol, but I put Veliki Ternul, and that's why there is 1 degree difference only. But this is not so important. And you may see here that on east, one moment to switch off the zodiac, and let me turn on the Sumerian zodiac. Okay, you may see here that on practically on whole line, the first constellation that is on your ascendant is Perseus.
Oh,
Perseus.
Earth's rising.
Okay. Perseus is rising just on the north.
Yes.
Then the second constellation is Andromeda.
Oh, God.
Okay.
Chains.
The third constellation that rising very close to the east point is Pegasus.
Pegasus.
Again, the head, the divine part of Aquarius is exactly on east horizon rising with the left hand. Okay. Then the Capricorn constellation, again the head of the Capricorn, rising again, and then the whole body of Sagittarius, and exactly the special tail of Scorpio, which have ability to poison, rising too. And the last constellation is constellation of Wolf. And all these constellations is your dodecatemore, not dodecatemore, but your how to say, your true ascendant. And this true ascendant, which is very important to interpretation of your horoscope. Practically, this is the hieroglyphical, cosmic hieroglyphical symbols which create your personal name. Exactly how in North America, Indian people goes into the nature to search their name. Exactly the same tradition survive is in astrology, and practically with this fact to analyze all constellations that rise into your east horizon, and this is your true ascendant, forms your cosmic name. And your cosmic name interpretation of this cosmic name is this. I will interpret it in real time, your cosmic name. First, the first constellation from the north is the first super important constellation, because the north is the truth. And from this point of view, Perseus is the warrior of the spirit. From esoteric point of view, esoteric astrology point of view, Perseus is one great warrior of Thracian time. The Perseus name means warrior in Thracian and modern Bulgarian language too, which is one version of Thracian language. And this warrior is the spiritual warrior, which transform the ancient time and ancient perspective to the spiritual world, which is visualized on the sky with Gorgona, Medusa. And he killed the Gorgona Medusa. Why? Because he is the symbol of the modern bright mind, bright spirit of our modern, how to say, day consciousness, which work with reality and with logical abilities and higher consciousness abilities of modern person. And this rising of these abilities happened 2,000-3,000 years before Christ, when Perseus lives, and the legend of transforming the energies of ancient Atlantis into the consciousness of modern humankind is symbolized by Perseus, like a spiritual warrior. First, I will explain each of these constellations, and then I will make one sentence for your cosmic name. Second constellation is Andromeda. This Andromeda is the soul, which was put in chains into one mountain to be eaten like a human sacrifice from the family of Andromeda, the king and father and the queen mother of Andromeda. They put the human sacrifice to this, how to say, enormously powerful animal, which was put into their kingdom. You see here this dangerous animal like a constellation whale, to kill and destroy the whole kingdom of Cephei and Cassiopeia. But they decided to make one human sacrifice and put the Andromeda on the wall, onto the into chains to the, how to say, to the border of the sea. And this is the symbol of human soul, which was put like a sacrifice into this materialistic world. And the main topic of Andromeda is to liquidate, to free the human soul from materialism, from the chains of a physical material world. And this is the second super important thing. But one important level of this constellation is not to put yourself, dear Lada, into conditions when somebody sacrifices you for not true or how to say not good reasons. Understand me? Because Andromeda was sacrificed from mother and father of her for one not noble idea, and human sacrifice are forbidden from God. And that's why never enter into one condition when somebody put yourself into the one sacrifice for, how to say, one stupidity. Okay. And this is the second constellation, which is the symbol of soul, which should free herself from the materialistic chains. The third constellation is one beautiful constellation, the horse of Perseus, Pegasus, which is explained with like a name again on modern Bulgarian. Perseus, Pera, the Teperna in Bulgarian means the Teodare, to hit you, into modern language. And Perseus means warrior. Okay, Pega come from the word Bega. And in modern language of Bulgarian, there are still words which interpretates this word Pega or Bega like a very fast running animal or horse, or one being which is very fast running. And exactly the name of Pegasus is means very fast being, horse which so fast that flies. And this horse is the symbol of the, how to say, the spiritual consciousness, the ability for poetry and music, the ability to go higher into the spiritual mental world. Because of course, all beings that have wings have, of course, from esoteric tradition of ancient times, they symbolize the mental world, the world of spiritual beings which are into the world of thoughts. And from this point of view, all people that have Pegasus on their ascendant, they are very talented people. They have ability to make poetry, music. They have ability to go high into the mental world because they have this power of Pegasus. Then we enter in zodiacal constellations, but Master Peter Dunov, like a spiritual teacher who creates one of the most powerful esoteric astrological tradition into the world, he explains very important key about each part of the body of one being. And for example, the head is the divine world. And the divine world of Aquarius, it is the most advanced spiritual qualities and virtues of constellation Aquarius, which is the freedom, the ability of one person to be truly human with big letter H, to be a person who helps to humankind to live in brotherhood and divine ideas and to realize the true nature of humanity. This is exactly the point of the constellation where is the head of the Aquarius. And this is in your horoscope is exactly the fourth constellation, which is exactly on the east. Then Capricorn is again with the head of the on the east horizon, this time a little bit on south already. And this means that the constellation Capricorn is deeply connected with the whole material world, the whole material sphere that we live, the physical level of the being. And from this point of view, when you have the head, the divine point of view, the divine energy of the physical world onto rising position into when you are born, this means exactly that you are come here not only to realize the divine idea of humankind and freedom and the most advanced level of humanity, but you should work with the divine energy of the physical world, with matter. Why? Because Master Peter Dunov explained a very interesting concept, which is practically that when God created the spirit and matter, he put the equal parts of wisdom, of divine wisdom, into the spirit and into the matter. And with this position, you should find the divine energy which God put it into the material world, into the physical world. And then you may see here how the tail of the Sagittarius and the part of the animalistic body of the Sagittarius is into the rising position into your horoscope, three-dimensional horoscope. And this means exactly that, how to say, you should find the tail. The tail is the connection between, how to say, this being and the earth, because the hair is the connection between head and the divine world, and the tail of the Centaurus Sagittarius is the connection between Sagittarius and the energy of Sagittarius and the earth, like a planet. And the energy of Sagittarius are the energy of spiritual teacher, the energy of divine teaching, which comes directly to us and shows with her arrow exactly the centrum of galaxy. Let I put this situation to be visible. And you may see here the galaxy, and this part here that is the bulge, the most powerful place of the galaxy, is called by Master Peter Donov Alfiola, the divine sun, in which for 200 million years our sun make one cycle. And if you see here, the arrow of Sagittarius shows exactly the centrum of Alfiola, which is one black hole around 4 million star masses. And they watch this sky, on the sky with telescopes, this object, and this object is exactly here. And you may see that in your horoscope, Neptune is exactly with conjunction with Alfiola and with the centrum of Alfiola. This means the most powerful energies into your horoscope come through Neptune. But let we continue. And practically Sagittarius shows the Alfiola center. And this means that the Sagittarius is the symbol of divine teacher, the divine teacher, and the tail of the divine teacher is the symbol how the divine teaching come and connects with Earth, with planet Earth, with nature of planet Earth. That's why all people that have on ascendants, or their ascendants, the tail of Sagittarius, they have very deep connection with nature and some ecological perspective, how to preserve, how to save, how to help to nature beings and to all, how to say, the structure of the nature. And that's why this is one spiritual tradition, which is the tradition of the people that are born to be saviors of nature. Okay, and the last constellation, let I switch again on a little bit more bright constellations. The last constellation, not the last, but the, how to say, just before the last, is the tail of the Scorpio, the ability to destroy, to liquidate. Why? Because some things in this world should be liquidated. The negative things, the connection with all things that put you in one danger, like evolution of your soul, all things that connects you with negative things, with things that are not proper for your divine ability and evolution like soul, should be destroyed. And this power, from point of view of esoteric tradition of Master Peter Donov and Rudolf Steiner, especially Master Peter Donov explained that this power of destroying is have place and live in our brain in special centrums, which are, he visualized this centrum into phrenology, which are deeply connected, which this science is deeply connected with astrology. And this energy work with your ascendant too. And this is something important in your horoscope. And the last constellation, just on the south, which is the symbol of the world, the illusion of the world and the world is the opposite of north, which is the truth. Do you understand me? Okay, and this is the wolf constellation, which is exactly how to say, the symbol of all animalistic energy, which you should work with and you should manage it, not putting this energy to influence you directly in your life, but you should manage it, not this energy of wolves or animals to work with you. Understand me? This is the concept of these other Centauruses who fight with wolves. And this is a very important energy which is connected in your horoscope, one with your ascendant and second with your descendant. And when I explain all these constellations, let I explain in one sentence your true cosmic name, which is practically the divine idea for your ascendant. If you are a cosmic warrior, if you are a spiritual warrior, you will save your soul from the chains of matter. And when you make this, you will receive freedom and ability to fly in higher mental world. And then you will bring this mental higher energies into our world and practice these ideas like the most advanced human virtues and abilities. And with this, you will transform the physical reality in something better, in something more closer to divinity. And when you realize this, you will help the nature of Earth to be in better condition. And when you have these all abilities, you have abilities to destroy all negative forces in your life. And then you will manage all animalistic energies in your subconsciousness and put them into the surface of divinity.
Wow, I'm kind of blown away.
Yes, this is practically esoteric interpretation of your cosmic name, which every person have cosmic name, and practically this comes from your true ascendant in three-dimensional horoscope. But the things do not stop here. Master Peter Dunov explains very important thing about the most highest position of the horoscope. People will say, oh, this is medium celi. Okay, Rumen says that, for example, not very often, for example, the medium celi is the highest position. For example, if you see here, medium celi is here, but the highest position of your horoscope of ecliptic is not medium celi. Medium celi is the crossing between meridian and ecliptic, and this forms in two-dimensional chart your medium celi. But you may see here that practically the most highest position of the zodiac is where speaker is into your 8th house. And this is totally different perspective. That it means that the highest energy in your horoscope is connected with speaker. But Master explains something much more higher. And this is the idea that in this three-dimensional horoscope, the most powerful energy which come from divine, it is the place of highest place of the horoscope, from where you may understand what exactly God think about you. Yeah. When Master explained astrology into esoteric tradition, he explained the 4 angles, what they means exactly. Ascendant, for example, means something which, how to say, what nature and what nature think about you. When you see the imum celi, this is connection, how to say, what angel hierarchies and angels think about you. And descendant is the position where something very important happen, when what you and partners and friends of you think about you, but in one partnership situation. But what about MC, or what about medium celi? The whole idea here is that we should see the highest point of the horoscope, and this is not a medium celi. The highest point of the horoscope is connected with zenith, and this is the only one software which have ability to show to you where the zenith is in your horoscope and which constellation is exactly connected with your zenith. And when you see zenith, you may understand what God thinks about you.
Okay. He wants to.
Do you wish to understand, Lada?
What is that?
Okay. You may see in your horoscope that the northern crown and one important constellation, which is called in ancient time Good Shepherd, is exactly around your zenith, especially the head of Good Shepherd and the crown. What are these things? To understand these things, you do not need only a Hellenistic point of view, because in Hellenistic astrology, you will miss the divine idea which Thracians give to ancient tradition. In Thracian tradition, people receive golden crown when they become heroes, when they become super, how to say, realized humans, which are the winners in one battle, or the kings which realize something great, or people like Alexander the Great or Hercules, which realize the human qualities of the highest level. People that have the most powerful words, people that have magical powers like Orpheus and Zalmoxis. These people receive this golden crown like a symbol of immortality, like a symbol of divine qualities of human being. And that's why the golden crown is the symbol of the, how to say, the most advanced qualities of human soul. And these qualities are directly into zenith of your horoscope. Then the head of the constellation which we connect with Good Shepherd. What he do? He cut the grown ready wheat and prepare it for how to say, for giving to become bread. And this is the idea where it means that the divine energies, because this is the head of Good Shepherd, the divine energy which is connected with spiritual understanding, who is the Good Shepherd and what kind of work he do on earth. Christ directly explained this into the Evangelium, and he explained that in one moment he will send enough people who will be the workers of the field, who will cut the ready wheat and prepare this divine wheat to become bread. This is the symbol in one moment in human development in our time, I think, where there will be enough souls sent directly by Christ to work on the divine field, which is practically the humankind and development of humankind. And when we interpret these two constellations, it means that God directly sent to you this thought that you should develop the diamonds and the most advanced qualities and virtues. This is the diamonds of the soul. And when you prepare these diamonds in your soul, you will become one soul which is ready to become, how to say, the Good Shepherd, who prepared the earth, prepared the fields for the transforming the wheat to the bread. And why? Because he brings this special symbol here. Do you understand me? Which is the symbol of cutting the wheat and preparing the wheat to become bread. Understand me? This means that you are one of the souls that spiritual world sent to this earth to develop her virtues, northern crown, the qualities of northern crown. And when you develop these virtues, you will become part from this all developed beings, which become the source of preparation of humankind and evolution of humankind in higher level. This is the interpretation of your horoscope and position of zenith.
That's
which
very high expectations from me. I hope I don't.
No, I do not think so, Lada. Why? because astrology is the part from divine teaching. And when you service to divine teaching, especially astrology, you work exactly this. With your work in astrology, practically you develop the virtues. And when you develop and help to people to develop this, you will become part from this good shepherd energy.
Wow, it's fascinating.
Yes.
Do you
This is the esoteric astrology, dear Lada, because how to say, you should be part from evolutional astrology. You should understand the teaching of Master Peter Donov and Rudolf Steiner, the greatest teachers of esoteric tradition of humankind in modern era. And when you understand all of this, you should transform the knowledge of ancients in one modern evolutionary perspective. Only then you will have ability to use the divine energy of modern cosmos. We live now. We do not live 2 or 3 or 5,000 years before. We live now. And we should know what are the divine energies of our time.
This is fascinating. Thank you. Do you do horoscopes yourself?
Yes, of course, a lot. And if you wish, I show how people may reach the this software, because I show exactly directly the connection, but I will show only one moment to see how to show this. And then if you wish, I may speak directly about our time and what's happened in our time. But first, let I show you the software. Only one moment, because I prepare a lot for this lecture. Okay. I will use this, and I will enter into one new window. One moment only. Okay, and you just write Astroman.com. Astroman means cosmic people of cosmos. This is the ancient tradition of understanding of humankind. We are a projection of cosmic human, and we live on Earth to be in harmony with cosmic human. And when we realize the teaching of cosmic human, then we are truly human beings. Okay, you may see here the software, which is interactive. You may show each planet's, each aspect, each zodiacal position, and to show all situation in your horoscope, and you will receive directly information with showing. Then you have ability here to switch off the software to be a little bit bigger, and then in this 4 tabs you have interpretation, analysis, interpretation, prognosis, 3-dimensional chart, and phases. And into interpretation, you have ability here to interpret your horoscope in many positions. For example, planets in signs, planet in houses, rulers in houses, aspects, and so on. And for example, if we choose aspects and we choose one aspect in this horoscope, which is visualized now, when you click here, you have ability to receive around 50 to 100 pages for only one aspect, which is exactly for this chart. But when you click on 3-dimensional tab, you receive one button here. The same thing is happening here on this blue sphere that is just above the horoscope. And when you click, you enter into the 3-dimensional chart. But here, if you click on this left part, you may choose the Placidus or Hermes house system, tropical or sidereal zodiac. If you click here, you may choose the new datum, and exactly from here to choose Placidus or Hermes house system, or tropical or Babylonian zodiacal system, which is the sidereal concept. And from this point of view, the software works in tropical astrology and in ancient astrology too. And when you click on these three different icons, first icon is for newbies, which explain much more horoscope, and you may learn the horoscope only from watching and showing. The second is for people that are amateurs, that they start in astrology just now, and they are a little bit prepared. And the professional perspective and astrologer perspective is this third icon. When you click on this three, you receive different settings, different properties of the horoscope. And when you click on the three-dimensional chart, you wait a little bit, and freely, I explain, freely, you receive your three-dimensional chart. But of course, if you wish to interpret this chart, how I show it, now it is only possible through my help, but I work to put first algorithms of interpretation into the softwares. And you may see here in the software, into the left, you have options for astrological properties of your horoscope. And into the right, you have ability with these properties to get analytical and interpretational, how to say, first steps of interpretation of your three-dimensional chart. And when the horoscope is three-dimensionally ready, you may zoom with the mouse. That's why you need a mouse, or if you work on telephone or tablet, you should use two fingers to zoom or unzoom. And when you enter into your three-dimensional chart, here on the left, one moment, here on the left, you get ability to choose the language, the tropical zodiac or Sumerian zodiac, the different division of the zodiac, different major circles of the zodiac, ecliptic, equator, horizon, and so on. And stars, you may see pictures of planets, disks, and symbols. You may see different perspectives to the zodiac. In future, I will prepare the Mesopotamian, Sumerian point of view about constellations, and this will be the only one software which present the three different traditions: the traditions of ancient astrology, which is classical, the tradition of Egypt astrology, and the tradition of Sumerian astrology, like visions for the constellations. And when you choose these things and you prepare these things, you may go here and use the options for analysis. For example, planets in parts of constellations. This is very important thing, which in soon future, maybe 2022, will be totally ready. Then the constellations into three-dimensional houses, which constellations have. Then rising constellation, then culminating constellation, then zenith and nadir constellation, setting constellations, and so many other things. You have here just three-dimensional astrological analyzing of the horoscope, because you have planets in conjunction with one line of house, the cuspid, but three-dimensional cuspid, and stars, which is in conjunction with the line of house with one three-dimensional cuspid. And all these things we will prepare, and they work now. You may use this function for analyzing your three-dimensional chart, but in future you will receive a lot of information in textual English form directly here into this software. How to say, if you wish, we may speak now. For example,
people are asking about predictions, because I called the video predictions, so they
exactly,
they will want to hear predictions now.
Okay, I will first explain to people that personally they may enter in the software, and when they put their chart here and go to prognosis, first thing that they will see are these graphical algorithms for interpretation of their horoscope of different topics. I advise you, in this chaotic time that we live now, very often to see and to understand the model of graphical prognosis health processes, this model especially, and the most important from the last graphics, which are the graphical prognosis of dynamics of risk. When you use these two graphics and they form a negative plateau or minimum into under the zero together, this is really very big risk, and you should be careful practically. And in these days when the graphics shows this, and you may have ability to show this graphics for 90 days, and directly you may see what will happen and when there are minimums. This is the first practical help to all people that wish to know near future in this chaotic time. But I explain something important. Let I stop sharing and return to the, for example, three-dimensional chart. Okay, let I explain something important for our time. There is a very important source which comes directly from Christ and directly from Apostle John, the beloved apostle of Christ. Why I connect this source with the astrological point of view? Because from the point of view of Master Petr Donov, Christ's spirit, the consciousness of Christ, is the creator of harmony between smaller worlds and bigger worlds. In Bulgarian, it sounds much better, but this is one interpretation of one of the most important texts of Master Petr Donov. What this means, that Christ's spirit is the creator of the harmony and musical, how to say, harmony and connection between the smaller worlds, which are the world of consciousness of beings, of humankind, and the bigger worlds, which are the consciousness of the stars, planets, and galaxies. This means that Christ is the creator of astrology. And this is given like a spiritual tradition directly from Master Petr Donov, which is one of the greatest spiritual teachers of our time. And after this, Rudolf Steiner explains that the consciousness of the whole cosmos or our galaxy coming to our solar system like a consciousness of the sun. And after this consciousness of the sun decided to live for 3.5 years on Earth. And this happened into the Christ mysteries. And then one of the disciples of Christ who create astrology, like a process in the whole universe, explains with one mystery vision, which we call Apocalypse of John, what will happen into the future of humankind. And this is very complex text. This text explains far future to the end of development of the whole solar system, then the far future of development of the whole Earth, not solar system, but Earth, and then what will happen with humankind to the end of our epoch, which is post-Atlantean epoch, and what will happen with, how to say, into the big moments of future development of humankind. And in one moment, Apostle John used very special symbols, very advanced knowledge, which he explained that in one moment, some beast will send his servant, which pressure the humankind to put the stamp and mark of the beast on the right hand and on the forehead of humankind. And all people that do not have this stamp of the right hand and forehead of the head, they will not have ability to buy and sell. They will not have ability to travel and so on. Do you think that this is a little bit similar to our time, Lana?
I've been waiting for this time since I was a child.
Exactly, exactly. And this is the moment where it is written directly from one of the disciples of Christ, explanation for our time, which is a situation where some servants to the beast will put some mark to all people and will try to suppress the humankind to serve to this beast. But it is written there that Christ's forces will destroy this beast. Okay, directly, explicitly written. And somebody will ask, where is the astrology here? Okay, for astrology, you should read very detailistically in this text. Apostle John speak about that the number of the beast is 666. Okay, a lot of Christian teachers and speakers interpreted this like a name of the beast, and they found exactly the name of this beast. Okay, but people, this is not only the name, this is the year, and not only one year, but several years. Okay, what's happened in 666 year? Lada, do you know a little bit history?
No, not
Plus,
specifically that here.
plus minus 10 years. We do not speak exact year, but around this year, the Christian world was, how to say, receive one enemy which come and was very close to destroy the Christian world of Europe. On the first wave of this invasion, Bulgarian nation with great King Tervel destroyed this wave of invasion into Europe, which invasion wished to liquidate the Christianity in Europe and to put their Musulmani tradition, which was not the way of God, because this is not the will of God. And they wished to suppress Christianity and to liquidate Christianity. And the first invasion was stopped from Bulgarian kingdom, and they make this for around half millennium stopping of these energies. But all these forces go away and try to enter into Europe through Spain. And for 700 years, Spain in normal condition, like a Christian nation, do not exist in normal position. Only small part of Spain survives. On the, how to say, on the second invasion, Austrian and Polish kingdoms stopped this wave. And now we live on the third wave, which is the wave of all these people which wish to come to Europe and to liquidate Christianity and to transform Europe in Musulmani tradition. Okay, this is connected with the first number, 666, but like a year. Why? Because in this period of time, plus minus 10, 20 years, one teaching appeared of one religious leader, and this was the result. I was explaining till now what was the result. What's happened in this number multiplied by 2 in 1320 around, plus minus 10, 20 years. Lada, do you know some idea what's happened in this period of time?
1,200? The Bogomils.
1,300 and something.
They were, the last Bogomils were killed.
And the last Templar was killed. And this was the period when Byzantium and Bulgarian kingdom disappeared. But the most important connection, I think, was connection with Templars, which was, how to say, there was one connection with the divine forces in Christianity, but they was totally slaughtered and liquidated by negative forces. And this was one result of this number of the beast. Okay, Lada, do you have some calculator around you?
No.
Please, let we use one calculator and multiply the number of the beast by 3.
666 by 3.
Yes, what you receive?
Let me just a second. 1998.
Exactly. The year 1998 is super important year for the future of humankind and our time. And this is astrological interpretation of the one text of Evangelium and the Bible, which is super important, directly come from the disciple of Christ. And I here wish to explain to all people that listen that Christianity is deeply astrological tradition. First, Christ have 12 disciples, apostles. They are connected with 12 constellations. Second, when you open the Evangelium of John into the first 12 books of this Evangelium, you will see interpretations and influences of the 12 constellations. Third, when Christ came to the earth, the first astrologers, first people beside mother and father, which understand what will happen, was 3 astrologers that meet the baby and give special gifts to the baby. They were astrologers. Then Christ in Evangelium interprets the constellations and the phases of moon by special text. And I explained this in a special seminar cycle, which I made 1 year around. Till now, I made 35 lectures and seminars about esoteric point of view. And there I explain deeply how Christianity is practically one astrological tradition. And when Christ speaks in Evangelium, he used in moments, in some situations, astrological symbols. And if you are part from esoteric tradition in astrology, you have ability to understand these symbols. And when you use all this knowledge of esoteric Christianity, which is the tradition that comes directly from Bogomils, from Master Peter Dunov, from Rudolf Steiner, from Cathars and Albigoys, which are the branches of the Bogomil tradition. And when you work with Christian Rosenkreuz tradition, which are coming directly from Qatar tradition, when you use this tradition, you will have ability to interpret the astrological point of view given directly from Christ and the beloved disciple of Christ. And what happened in 1998? What is explained by Rudolf Steiner about our epoch? What is explained by the astrological key about life of Christ, and what Master Peter Dunov and great clairvoyants of Bulgaria, like Baba Vanga, like Slava Sivrikova, they explain for our time. I will try to synthesize this and to explain this into one understandable situation. First, Rudolf Steiner, into the beginning of 20th century, he explained that the dark forces, which is connected with the number of the beast, will try to destroy the connection of human being with his soul. How exactly? Do you know, Lada? Do you find this place in Rudolf Steiner texts?
Yes, through a medical intervention, which
with
people
vaccines. He explained directly the word. He explained about this something like this. Before several centuries, in Catholic tradition, the dark forces tried to destroy the teaching about human spirit. And in this Christian tradition, unfortunately, they start to explain that human beings do not have spirit. This is part from modern Catholic tradition, unfortunately, and this is part from lie, this is one illusion, because every human being which is born from God have spirit. This is first thing. And this every human being have soul. And the first attack against a human being happened exactly in this, start to happen exactly in this period, 1,300 years and centuries after, against human spirit. And now we live into time where they wish to attack, this time human soul. How? Rudolf Steiner explained with one medical intervention through vaccine, which he explained, not I just citate Rudolf Steiner. He explained that they will try to make vaccine which will destroy the connection between human consciousness and being and physical mind and physical life with human soul. It means it will produce what? It will produce very intelligent human beings which do not have any spiritual life. This kind of people will, they will think to all spiritual people like a crazy people. They will think spirituality like illness. And we live in the beginning of this time, Lada, where a lot of people, unfortunately, a lot of vaccinated people will start to liquidate their connection with their soul. And slowly, with this many vaccinations, which come in every 6 months, unfortunately, this is the tendency now, slowly this process will grow. This is the first situation.
Still have time if they've taken a few to stop so this process doesn't escalate. Would it mean to feel like that is like to kill the connection with the soul, like you can't feel feelings of exaltation and joy from a sunset and feeling of ecstasy when you see a little kitten? And is it connected to those feelings as well?
These feelings that you explain is the basis of spiritual life. But if you interpret these events only like a materialistic events, you do not connect these events with your soul. But if you interpret these events like a spiritual process, like an explanation and realization of spirituality of a universe, when you see the rising of the sun like one divine image, like an icon of presence of God, that is explained directly from Master Peter Donov. When you see one kid which is growing into one woman womb, and when this kid appear on earth, this process is not only materialistical process, this is spiritual divine process, which is realization of the fractal reality of the whole universe. Practically the fractality of the whole universe realized in motherhood and birth on one child. And when you interpret this like a spiritual process, you connect the soul of the mother, the soul of the child, with the soul of the whole universe. But if you interpret this like a materialistic process, there will be not a place for soul. And one very important third example, if you watch the sky and you interpret this only from materialistic point of view, and you see, for example, black holes, white dwarfs, and explosion of stars, and so many other things, and you think about this from materialistic point of view, without any soul, you will see only the destruction. You will see the interpretation of the black hole like a huge vampire stars, like destroying the universe. You will see how the explosion of one supernova is destruction of the neighborhood of around this supernova. And when you see the development of the universe, you see how this universe die. This is the materialistic interpretation without soul. But when you interpret the cosmos with spiritual abilities, with your soul, you see into black hole one eye, one pupil, which is black, and exactly the center of the eye receive the light. Exactly the black holes is the sense
of cosmic human being, which have cells like our cells, but his cells are stars and planets. And cosmic human being practically is one galaxy. And this galaxy have senses and eyes like us. And these eyes are the black holes. The black holes have accretional disks around each of them. And we have iris around the pupil. If you see one explosion of supernova, you do not see the destruction of neighborhood of around the star. You see realization, divine realization of angelic hierarchies into one solar system, which is the future of our solar system, especially with planetary nebula, because our sun is not ready for the supernova, but it's ready for planetary nebula. And when this happens, our evolution of the whole solar system will give the divine fruits of development for the whole cosmos. This is the interpretation, esoteric, spiritual interpretation of the cosmos. And when you put some substance into your blood, which kill the connection between your body, your mind, physical mind with your soul, then you do not have ability to interpret the divine and spiritual presence of the whole reality. Understand me? This is the problem, Lada. And we should fight against these dark forces, exactly like a Jedi forces fight with the dark Sith forces into this enormously famous spiritual film, which is called Star Wars.
This is incredible. the way and the story of the cosmos and how it's a process of thought, constant creation, it's conscious beings, creation.
Exactly.
I remember I listened to one of your lectures. It was fascinating how the 12 signs are actually 12 cherubims, very high level angels, and how they're huge and they surround our solar system or whatever. They're entities, real entities that took billions of years to develop and to become constellations, to become, they're not, you're even saying it's not the actual stars, it's the invisible entities that are situated around those stars. And these are fascinating lectures that I really love.
All these lectures are directly visible on astroman.com. When you enter into the website, into the right column, you may see the social events. And when you click on social events, you see all the list of 35 seminars. All of them are on different esoteric topics in astrology. And I will develop not only esoteric concepts, I just start the esoteric basis of astrology, which is the fundamental tradition in the astrology. The next level will be scientific tradition in astrology, interpretation from scientific point of view. And the third level, or maybe on the third year or the second half of the next year, will be practically the renovation of the ancient methods, all these parts of the zodiacs, all these terms, decanates, dodecatemories, and so on, will be interpreted. The whole three-dimensional chart, every constellation will be interpreted and explained. And in these seminars, you will learn how to work in three-dimensional and four-dimensional and fifth-dimensional point of view about your horoscope. Because when you work with your three-dimensional chart, you should move it in four dimension to make primary directions and progressions and so on. And then you should work with virtues and spiritual energy of your horoscope from 5 dimensions, and then you will develop your horoscope like a true spiritual disciple, which is part from the teaching of our great teacher, spiritual teacher, Master Peter Dunuf and Rudolf Steiner. They explain this, how we live in one special divine epoch, which is called the epoch of conscious soul, which have another name. The conscious soul is one point of view, one idea. The synonym of this idea is the path of the spiritual disciple. And practically this flourishing of the conscious soul happening in our epoch, this is the first super important event that happening now in our time. And for this, we need very powerful negative forces, which, how to say, make a pressure into the spiritual development of humankind. Why? Because humankind need this moment, like an impulse, to flourish into conscious soul. That's why this attack of dark forces will be put on their place. This is the first super important event. And the second super important event happened into 1930s, 1940s, in this period of time. I will say 1936, where by both tradition of Rudolf Steiner and Master Peter Donov is explained that will happen huge spiritual event which will transform the humankind. This is the second coming of Christ, not physically, but on the border between astral and etheric world. And all spiritual people have abilities slowly to open their etheric abilities, their consciousness, and to watch and see the second coming of Christ. And Master explained that this second coming of Christ will happen in our mind, in our soul, and our will, in our inner spiritual levels. And this is the second super important event that we live in this period of time. And this happened till when Rudolf Steiner gave astrological key. Around 1876, around just the moment of liberation of Bulgaria, into the spiritual world happened one big battle between Archangel Michael and Ahrimanic forces. Archangel Michael win the battle and liquidate their forces and remove their forces from astral world and start his epoch for 400 years. From this year till 400 years into the future, it is epoch of Archangel Michael, which now work in one level upper, Archai Michael. And from this period of time, we have super powerful impulses for spiritual development of the whole humankind. That's why in 20th century, in 21st century, and in next 22 and 23 century, will be super development of esoteric traditions. In 20th century, for example, the tradition of Master Peter Donov and the tradition of Christian Rosenkreuz impulse through Rudolf Steiner happen in Europe and go through all Earth. And something super important about our time, Rudolf Steiner explained that after year 2000, Christ personally will manage each karma of each person. It means every human soul. It's not depend from which religion you come. It's not depend from which spiritual tradition you come. It's not depend from which race you come or nation you come. When you cross the border of the spiritual world and you go into the spiritual world, you will meet the great barrier of your karma, of your personal karma, and this is Christ. And he will manage your karma like this to push you into evolution, to help you to evolve. And this is super important moment. And this happened in 2000 year. But what's happened in 1998?
Oh yeah, I was going to ask about that. Yeah.
Yes.
Was that when Ahriman was born?
Practically, my hypothesis, and I think this is very close to the truth, because Rudolf Steiner says that there will be one person which he called John Smith. Very interestingly, this person,
John Smith, or
yes,
it's like
he calls him John Smith,
someone
and
normal.
he calls him John Smith, and he explained that he will born or in England or in United States. This is the second information. Most probable in United States. And he will repeat by dark way the mysteries of Christ. And what are the mysteries of Christ? From esoteric tradition, we know that Jesus was around 30 years when he sacrificed his ego, he sacrificed his self toward Christ's principle of consciousness of our star, and the self of Jesus go away into the spiritual world, and the consciousness of our son enter into the body of Jesus. And this happened into the moment when Jesus was into the river Jordan, and this moment of baptism happened with Jesus. In this situation, exactly the Holy Spirit of and consciousness of the whole sun, our star, enter into one human body. And from this, we speak about Christ Jesus, because Christ is the consciousness of our sun, the divine principle, and Jesus is the human principle. And these are the situation which continues for 3.5 around years on Earth. The same process the Ahriman person will try to realize on Earth. And if one baby was born in 1998, when he will become 30 years, Lada?
This year he'll be, oh my God, I'm so bad.
2028, he will become...
2028, he'll be 30.
Yes, exactly. And we live in these 7 years of preparation of this dark situation on Earth.
Oh, and so the same will repeat. His spirit will invade the Earth and will rule the Earth for 3.5 years.
Ahriman will try to enter in one human body, in this John Smith. And he will try for 3.5 years to manipulate and to lie the whole humankind.
Wow.
And this is the situation which is astrologically explained by one divine key of astrology, which is connected directly with Christ's life. If you live on Earth through the moment of Christ's life and you watch each day of Christ's life on Earth, and then you transform this each day in one progression key, typical for astrology, but divine progression, not 1 day, 1 year, for example, but 1 day, 12 years, for example, or 1 day, 29 years. You know that these are the cycles of Jupiter and Saturn. Understand me?
Yes.
Lada?
Yes.
Okay, if you took 1 day of Christ's life and transform it into 29 years and something, exactly the key of Saturn, you will get exactly one special day, which was the powerful temptation of Christ into desert, the final day of temptation, the most powerful day of the temptation, where Christ fights the dark forces. This was 1 day with day and night. And this was the final day of, how to say, when Christ do not eat nothing, and demonic forces come, and Ahrimanic forces, you should see this, Ahrimanic forces come to Christ and says to him, transform one stone into bread and eat. And Christ answered, not only with bread, but with divine word we will live. And this is exactly the day when the last temptation happened. And after this, when Christ win the battle, it's written into special esoteric sources which explain what's happened after this. They are given to us with from one great clairvoyance, which is, I think, on the level of Vanga, which lives like a young woman, only eating 1 naphora per day. She do not know to read and write, but she has powerful vision for each day of life of Christ. Anna Maria Katerina Emmerich. And one great in modern time person, Mel Gibson, used his how to say inspiration from this texts to make this great film about Christ, which is exactly made from these texts. And what's happened after this big temptation? The whole angel hierarchies came and served to Christ into this desert because he won the battle with dark forces. And exactly these 24 hours, which have day and night, they are projected in our time. After 2016, you have one period around 30 years where this situation happened. And if you divide these years of two parts, you will receive 12 years, not 12, 15 years, which are connected with the day part, and 15 years which are connected with the night part. And we live in the period where the most powerful temptation, materialistic temptation, Ahrimanic temptation which wish to say, okay, transform one stone, transform the physical matter into life, into breath. But Christ says, no, this is not possible, and win the battle. And we live in the period of time from 2016 to 2031, 32, in this period of time, where this temptation of humankind will happen, not on the level of Christ with the stones, but on the level of humankind. And what is this temptation, astrologically and spiritually interpreted? This temptation first will try to destroy the connection with the soul with some strange substances. Okay, this is the first part. Do you know the second part, Lada?
No.
The second part will be trial to put wires into brain and to connect the brain with one chip. Who make this? You know?
Oh yeah, what's his name?
Elon Musk.
Elon Musk, yeah.
He tried to put this chip to pigs and monkeys, and they wish with their mind to play games and to browse in internet and so on. Understanding? This is transhumanism, the teaching of transhumanism, when parts of human being will be replaced by machines. This is exactly the Ahrimanic forces plan, which is removing something live with something mechanical, putting humankind in one virtual reality of metaverse of Facebook or other firm, or with chips using directly connection with brain, browsing in internet and becoming one artificial dark consciousness. This is the plan of dark forces now. And what is the next level of the temptation to humankind? The dark forces will try to say to humankind, I think this will be the most biggest temptation from Ahriman to humankind. Christ give eternal life to the souls which are connected with them. What will give Ahriman to humankind?
Eternal life to the body.
Exactly. They will try to put the human life with chemistry, with removing the soul, with some special vaccines against cancer, diabetes, Alzheimer, and what you wish. Human being to become not living 70, 80 years, but living 200, 300, 400 years on Earth. And what will happen with this? Do you know?
No, but I'll be tempted too.
I advise you not to be tempted, Lada. And do you know that one very interesting company, I think Apple, streaming now one very interesting film, which is called Foundation. You know this film?
No, but I'll watch it.
Okay, this is the serial, which is now the first season of this serial produced. And in this film, it is visualized exactly in the 6, 7, and 8 episodes, exactly the situation. What happened? One person, emperor, which have with genetic engineering and nanobots in his blood, he becomes immortal. Why? Because he produced younger and younger versions of him with genetic engineering and cloning. He produced his versions, and the oldest one teach the youngest one, and so on and so on and so on. And like this emperor lived hundreds of years. And this emperor go in one temple to meet his soul. And in one moment, he understands that he do not have soul. This is in film, which is streaming now from April.
Well, I don't understand something. If the soul is removed, then you're not alive. Isn't the soul that makes you alive? What? Then you're like a robot. You don't have feelings.
We will speak about very intelligent people. We will speak about very intelligent people without any connection with spiritual world. And if one person live not 120 years on earth, which is the divine plan for one human body, but live 200, 300, 400 years, what will happen? Will happen erosion of human soul. And slowly, this will produce people that do not have souls. They will have life on earth, but they will do not have any connection with the development of the soul. And this is the big temptation of the dark forces.
They can't feel any joy. They won't be able to feel any love.
No, they have perfect humor. They have laughing. They have everything like human being, but empty people. Understand me?
But then
hollow, empty people.
But with all those things they're trying to do, they can't kill the soul. The soul is immortal. So those people that disconnect from the soul will leave and come back again for another incarnation.
But in people that have ability to connect one soul, understand me? The fight of dark forces with humankind now is exactly in this direction. To disturb the connection between physical body and the soul.
Wow, that would be one, I don't know, one soulless life. that's the only one.
If you transform humankind in one technocrat civilization, which part of the humans are robots, hands, eyes of these people will be robotic, mechanical. If you put chips, powerful quantum chips into the brain of humankind, they will be super intelligent. These people will be connected in one human internet, which will make a super intelligent, artificial intelligent internet, which is based on quantum chips into the brain of humans. This is enormously powerful system, but soulless. Empty, hollow. Why? Because divine create human being through astrology connected with the whole cosmos. These people which will become transhumans will be not connected with the whole cosmos. Here is astrology, the most important tradition and concept in human spirituality, which explain how our soul is connected with the whole cosmos and connected with us.
Can I ask something? Most people on Earth don't feel connected to the cosmos. They feel it's my life, it's me. They're not gonna think they're losing anything because they don't feel connected to the cosmos anyway. Also, when I look sometimes outside, I think I'm me and the tree is not me. And it's like, what would you lose if the consciousness stays the same?
Okay, it is very simple answer. When we have two people, one person which is materialistically, atheistical, philosophically based, one atheist and materialist. Let we take one person, for example, Neil deGrasse, which make this famous second and third version of Cosmos. If we have this person, which is typically materialistical person, which explain publicly that consciousness do not exist. He said this publicly on lecture. He used the eliminative philosophy about consciousness, which explained that if we remove consciousness from human beings, there is no change. Without consciousness, it's easy from his point of view. And if we took one person like this, and if we took you, for example, and I ask Neil deGrasse, okay, man, what's happened with you after the death? He explained what happened already. He will become dust, and dust will return one day to the stars. No soul, no consciousness, no spirit, only atomic dust. This is the meaning of his life. When you ask him, what is the meaning of life? He will answer some scientific equilibrium, some equation, scientific equation, which do not have any meaning, because one great writer, Russian writer, says, if there is truly death, there is no meaning.
Mm-hmm.
And when we ask you, I ask you, what happened with you after the death, Lada?
Yeah, I think my life is actually truly beginning then. I'm going back home and I'm going to see my soulmates. I'm going to work for the improvement on the earth down, help those that are below. I have so much excitement going there actually even now.
Exactly. But when you finish this work, where you go?
I come back.
Exactly. And in one special lecture, if you wish, I will prove scientifically the truth about karma and reincarnation by scientific laws and equations. And I speak about this. Why? Because you know Netflix, every American and in worldwide know Netflix. Okay, enter in Netflix and watch one documentary, Surviving the Death. The first and second episode especially. You see there one doctor, which woman have several childs. She goes in South America. She was crushed under one waterfall, and she lived under the water 45 minutes without oxygen. Do you know what's happened? She goes into the spiritual world with her consciousness. From Neil deGrasse's point of view, this is not possible because consciousness do not exist, soul do not exist, okay, from their point of view. But she goes there, and what she meet there? She meet her spiritual guiders, she meets spiritual teacher, angelic beings, and so on. They speak with her, they help her, and they tell her what will happen will one of her children, one of her children. She knows this into the spiritual world when she was under the water, not breathing for 45 minutes. Impossible from medical point of view, impossible from materialistic point of view. She survives, she returns into the body, and she knows what will happen with one of her child when the boy becomes 20 around years. She do not explain this to the child, but when the child grow and this years comes, she explained to him that what she see into the spiritual world, and she knows this only from there, from nowhere. And with this, she prepared her son for something if something happened. And what happened, Lada? One catastrophe happened, and the boy go away from this world. exactly in these years when she understands this from spiritual world. These things and many others are explained into this film, Surviving the Death, and you may see the proof, physical, scientific proof of reincarnations with children which have memory for their reincarnation into the Second World War, like a fighter jet pilot. They have ability to restore exactly the events from the memory of one boy that remember all the life of his consciousness in one another reincarnation. From Neil deGrasse point of view and from the point of view of materialistic transhuman people without soul and without consciousness, these things, these phenomena do not exist. Understand me?
But
And
would they still be able to reincarnate if they advance a lot into
master gives some idea. Our spiritual master gives some idea here. Like, when these people reach this stadium where they lose their consciousness, they lose their soul, they stop reincarnation.
Oh, so here is the really scary part.
Exactly.
Okay.
And it's very funny how in this very dangerous time where one president of the world power put a law to be injected, all firms with 100 people should be injected with something that they do not know what is this. With this, he broke the Nuremberg Code. And from this point of view, he is the criminal against humankind. And in Nuremberg Code, it is written that criminals against humankind should be killed publicly, hanged publicly. And this is the situation. And hopefully, the court stop this law. Hopefully.
Do you think there is a chance that it can be reversed and it's not going to be imposed on everyone forever?
I wait now the connection with one German lawyer, which one American radio station explained that he put the suing against CDC, WHO, and one another criminal organization, which he's suing together with 1,000 lawyers and 10,000 doctors, this organization for crimes of humankind. If events like this, for example, another event like this, in Austria and Germany, they produce scientific conference about what is the exact consistence of these substances and what they do to human body. If you see this conference, this is terrible. I may give link to this conference to everybody. If you see what is the result, it is mind-blowing. American pathologists make the conference and explain the same situation. And today in Italy, pathologist people, scientific people will meet each other and produce conference what will happen with human body after injection. People like this, if they unite each other, if they become together and start the process of resistance, like in Star Wars, we have chance, because these negative forces wish one thing: 90% of vaccination of all humankind. Do you understand what this means?
That's a large number. How many are supposed to, according to prophecies, to escape that or to save their souls?
I think this process, which is very far now, because in Italy, for example, they say, because people are 80% vaccinated, when we reach 90%, we will remove green certificate because they are useless anymore after when the people are 90% vaccinated. But one very important doctor, chirurg doctor, go to the square and openly against thousands of people, they say, we should stay 20% not vaccinated. Why? Because when they start to be ill, we will bring to them our blood, our substance into the bones to help them to survive, to help them to be alive again. And this is the situation and revolution which is happening in Italy.
But if they want to live forever, why are they trying to kill humanity?
Yes, exactly. This is a very good question. And when I think about this topic, I have one vision. And the vision is officially announced already on WHO website. They say, okay, we will start to heal illnesses of humankind with genetic engineering, with genetic editing. And what will happen if you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 vaccinations with substances which make some genetic editing into cells, a little bit, but not so much, but not so small too. These people will be very close to genetic editing. And when WHO says, okay, we will start genetic editing, this 70–80% of people will be ready for this. And what will happen? Will happen that practically you will see huge percentage of humankind which will say, yes, let our genes will be edited. And with this, dear Lada, the human existence, the existence of Homo sapiens sapiens will stop. And there will be another type of person, of people, of kind, which will be not Homo sapiens sapiens, but will be genetically modified Homo sapiens.
So basically what the forces of good for millions, if not billions of years have been creating this human body, because it took billions of years, the dark forces are going to try to change within a few years.
Exactly. And they will start to switch on and switch off genes that they wish. One of the genes, for example, is the creation that directly God created in us. This gene is especially connected with speech. And it is visible that God created this, because when you compare this gene with chimpanzee gene, our gene is much more concentrated from the chimpanzee gene. And they will try to switch off this gene, for example, and they will receive robots that do not speak. What perfect humankind of homogenetically modified humans which do not speak. And when they do not speak, they are very easily modified, manipulated, ruled, because they are robots. And many, many other things. Do you know the experiment for switching off the divine gene into the brain? Do you know this experiment? This is publicly available in YouTube.
They said with the vaccines they can.
No, this happened around 2004 in Pentagon. In Pentagon.
Yes, but they say they can introduce it with vaccines, but they can switch it off in certain ways.
No, this was a little bit different. This was one scientist in which he make lecture in front of the officers of Pentagon, generals, and fortunately, one army person from American Army was there who make a record of the whole lecture. Fortunately, he was anthroposophic person. He knows Rudolf Steiner predictions, and because he was this part from army. Which they make record of everything, what happened. And he make a record of this lecture. And after this, he put this lecture into YouTube. Till now, you will find this lecture available. And what they say.
Extremists there.
Yes, what they say. They make a very interesting experiment. They took two persons or two groups of people, one atheistic, materialistic people who was put it in scanner of their brain. And they read one spiritual text from Bible, for example, and they watch what's happening in their brain. After this, spiritual, religious people read the same text, and they saw that exactly a very important brain center was activated in spiritual people and was switched off into the not spiritual people. atheistic people. And the lecturer says, okay, we may produce virus of flu, of coldness, which we modified the genes of this virus and put there the genes of one neurotransmitter which switch off the genes and the system of the spiritual center in the brain. And after this, we will put this virus to the Afghanistan to remove these religious fanatics in Afghanistan. He explained this publicly in front of generals of Pentagon, and one person, anthroposophist, make a record of this and put available all this information. They speak about virus, genetically modified virus of flu, which have ability to switch off the center of spirituality of human brain.
So pretty much what's happening, possibly.
Exactly, dear love. And we live in one time which I taught exactly the years from 2016 to 15 years in 2031 around to 32 is the period of time where we live into the biggest period of temptation of humankind. Why? Because if you make progression to the life of Christ, astrological progression to the life of Christ, you will see that exactly in this period of time is the biggest temptation that he have into the desert. And he win. And because Christ win, humankind will win.
Yay. So 2028 is when something very important comes?
Exactly. I think this will be the starting process of John Smith. The same person will be was visualized in the third episode of Matrix. Do you know when the first episode of Matrix was created?
1998.
Exactly, dear Lada.
Wow.
And into the third episode of Matrix, they speak about one virus into the Matrix, and human Messiah fight with the Ahrimanic Messiah, which was virus. And do you know what Keanu Reeves tell about Matrix?
No.
Matrix was documentary.
Oh, wow. Yes, but it felt prophetic.
If you have esoteric knowledge, dear Lada,
Mhm.
you will read and understand the Matrix from totally different point of view. This film was created exactly for these mysteries of Ahrimanic forces.
Well, the woman who wrote it, the Matrix, was an African-American woman in the 70s, and she also wrote the John Connor series, the Terminator series. That was stolen from her by Warner Brother, and she finally won 2.5 billion. And she says that, for example, John Connor is supposed to be a representative of Jesus Christ, JC, John Connor. And John Connor is also Neo, who is in the future, who is again a representative of the Christ forces fighting with the demonic forces, who she said is going to be machines and AI. So there are prophets even in our times who realize what's going to happen.
Exactly. Into the second episode, dear Lada, of Matrix, what was visualized, Neo was speaking with clairvoyance into one moment after one battle. And what clairvoyance says, like we understand, the friend of architect of the Matrix. Architect of the Matrix is pure visualization of Ahriman. And clairvoyance was the friend of him. And this clairvoyance, practically from spiritual point of view, is nobody else but Lucifer. And Lucifer into Matrix have different versions, different images. And one of these images was this clairvoyance. And what this clairvoyance says to Neo in this moment, that UFOs and angels do not exist. They are errors into the Matrix. Do you understand what this means? it means that for the dark forces, angels do not exist.
Mhm.
It means that these Ahrimanic forces, which Archangel Michael liquidated on astral world and put it into etheric and physical world, practically was visualized into the whole matrix, like this demonic machine world of matrix, which slaved the humankind. And for these beings, angels do not exist. Why? Because they stop their connection between spirituality of the universe with them. And that's why these clear ones, which wish to help Neo in the beginning, practically into the mid of the film, explain that she is part from the dark forces. And from this perspective, we may read and explain the matrix deeply, but I will stop this now because this is maybe 2-3 lectures only for several hours together discussion with you. But the whole situation is important now that this film was created in 1998 and put it into the theaters in 1999. And the whole concept is that with this film, which will come the 4th episode next year or next month, I hope in December this year, we will see very important messages from these dark forces, and white forces, the divine forces, will use this film to say another messages.
Oh,
Understand me? Because when you watch Matrix, you see first big action, big fightings, and simple people watch only the action. But under the action, you see much more, much more. And in this situation, I think the spiritual world, the divine forces, will put some messages under the big fight in this 4th episode, and we may see something. But this is not so important. Why? Because we have astrology law. We have prediction of astrology.
We have the real source.
Exactly. And real source is directly Christ, because Christ created astrology, and his life on earth make our future, our presence and our future. And the most important in our life is what? The most important in our life is to develop our spiritual being, our soul, conscious soul, to become spiritual disciple in our time. After this, to watch with our spiritual eyes and senses, second coming of Christ in etheric world. And then to feel Christ in yourself. And then to put your karma into the hands of Christ. And then to survive this temptation of humankind from Ahrimanic forces into the name of Christ, who is our father, mother, teacher, brother, and everything for us.
Wow. Thank you so much. That was a 2.5-hour lecture
Exactly.
on a very deep topic that some people will not understand at all. Others will really appreciate and have their eyes open.
People that have soul will understand.
It's called esoteric astrology, esoteric Christian tradition. No, this is the Western tradition, because people always turn to the East. Oh, spirituality is there. They go to Buddhism, they go to Hinduism. They were great, and they're still great religions, but the newest dispensations, the latest ones for us, they're given in the Western world. And thank you for doing great work to elucidate to people, because they're written in very high level. Rudolf Steiner and Master Bean Seduno or Peter Danov, like you say, he's
Mikhail Ivanhoff.
Yes, they're not. They have not even been translated. They're such recent masters.
Michael Ivanhoff, Michael Ivanhoff is very well translated in English, in German, in French, in Japan, in every language. And there are a very important essence of the teaching of Master Peter Danov written there. But if you wish to learn original, you should learn this. And there is one website, peterdunov.com, where there are translations. I worked for many years for 10% of translations of Master Peter Dunov. Together with some friends, we make the electronic archive for all books of Master Peter Dunov. And then we use the most powerful modern software for searching the books of Steiner and Master Peter Dunov. Why? Because we wish to use the computer power, to use this computer power for divine forces. And with this, we understand a lot. For example, I published with two friends of mine one book, the Bodhisattva in the 20th centuries, where we studied the question how Rudolf Steiner, in around 30 books, explained the mission of Master Peter Dunov. And he explained that there will be one great teacher on earth who will have brotherhood around him, who will be the great healer. He will resurrect people. He will be the bringer of power and life of Christ on earth. He will explain the most deeper knowledge of esoteric Christianity on earth. And he will go through the experience of second coming of Christ personally. And this year, 1936, what happened? Hitler produced the first TV signal into etheric world of humankind to spread out the totalitarian regime. And exactly into the same year, Master Peter Dunov was attacked from the Nazi person who beat him, and he was paralyzed for around 40 days. But what he do? With his spirit and soul, he goes to the sun. He leaves his body to be healed from the divine forces. And when people ask him, well, are you here, teacher, master? He, with one very strange voice, he said, your master is on the sun. I'm archangel who keep his body in rest. And when he returns from the sun, from the great mysteries of the sun, he enters again in his body, and his body was totally healed. He do not have paralyzation. And this happened into exactly year when the new sacrifice of Christ happened into the spiritual world, and our master, spiritual master Peter Dunov, who created our astrology tradition, feel this on his body directly.
Like
this,
Christ did, yeah, like Christ physically was.
This is the part from the great mysteries of 20th centuries. And that's why we write this book, to explain the past of the mission of Master, the presence and the future of this mission, because this is great, great mystery. And with this, we understand a lot, dear Lala. We understand esoteric tradition, because the secret of the teaching of Master is one astrological key. And if people wish to know this, the deeper level of esoteric modern tradition of Christianity and the whole spiritual wave levels of humankind, they may learn this from these 35 seminars that are available of astroman.com. Make an account, pay a small sum about the servers, video files, and so on, working about this audio video work, and you watch directly 35 episodes, 2-3 hours each.
Thank you so much, Philip. And you're doing the 3rd European Astrological Conference. You're organizing it with astrologers from around the world. It will be online. Can you just tell people when it is if they want to watch? And I'll have to go because I have to feed my family.
Exactly. Thank you, dear Lala, for question about this. The whole situation is that we organize this with the whole European traditions in Europe for the 3rd time. This time, 10 countries. Italy is the host. Our tradition is the co-host. And we will see people from Germany, France, Italy, England, Romania, Turkey, Greece, Bulgaria, of course. And all these countries together work for the future of astrology on the basis of classical and ancient and much more ancient tradition, because we will speak about Mesopotamian astrology. About the first lecture is exactly this: the vision about cosmic Taurus like a constellation in the ancient Sumerian texts. After this, we will speak about my lecture will be about the divine face of Venus, which Pythagoras learned from the Sumerian astrologers and Egypt astrologers, and with which he proved to people in Europe for the first time that Athena Pallas, like Venus, Western Venus, and like Eastern Venus, and Aphrodite, like a Western Venus, is one and the same planet. And with this phase, divine phase, which is called Nike, I will show video which presents what happened into the sky and when this phase for the last time was visible. And this is the moment when the divine Venus shows herself, and with this she represents the idea of immortality, of love. And this lecture will be very interesting. After this, there will be very interesting lecture about Dodecatimoria. Romanian colleague Michaela Ducu will explain the ancient knowledge, all the traditions and concepts from ancient books that she find about this secret micro zodiac, which is fractally connected with the whole zodiac. After this, Rumen Kolev will explain the esoteric mystery concept about astrology, archetypical concept about astrology, which is very connected with this thing that I showed today about three-dimensional chart. After this, we will speak about Manilius, one of the great Roman astrologers before 2000 years, who the lecturer from England will explain very interesting connection and development of houses. What are the meaning of the houses, how they evolve for these 2000 years around. And the second day, the first day is 13th of November, second day is 14th of November, and the third day is 15th of November. In these 3 days, all of you that wish to enter into the conference, there will be link for registration. Lada will publish this under the video. I will give it. And when you pay small amount of 38 euro in total, you will have access for all these 3 days. These are lectures for 10 different traditions of Europe. And on the second day, Sunday, 14th of November, you will see one very interesting case when one great composer died on his bicycle, and the horoscope of this, analyzed by classical ancient tradition, Ptolemaic tradition and classical astrological interpretation of how this happened with direction, with solar. After this, we will listen one very interesting lecture from Dimitar Kuzhukhov about solar and how the Persian and Arabic astrologers will make, how they made the solar in ancient time. There is one secret he would discover, and this will be presented for the first time. After this, we will see the lecture of Lucia Belizia, who is the chief of Apotelesma school into Italy, one of the most important schools in Europe. And she's translator from ancient texts, from Greek and Latin, and she will present one great case of Cardan, which was the great astrologer who made a horoscope of one of the kings of England. Into the third day, there will be a very interesting lecture about how from Austrian tradition, which is one of the, important schools in conferences. It will be explanation how the moon cycle managed the destiny of humankind and humans, especially with new moon. And Wolfgang Tomzitz will present very interesting practical study which methods of astrology works in our day, and they have ability to be scientifically proven with scientific experiments, which predicts important event on Earth. And there will be many, for example, Oner Dusher from Turkey will make a very special lecture about how with classical methods of tradition in astrology have ability to be understand the spiritual path of human being. The Turkey tradition is very important for Europe, and it's part from Europe tradition. And Oner will make the 4th conference, which will be in 2022 in November again. And with this, I invite all friends of us in astrology which wish to understand the sources of astrology, because the sources of astrology is in Europe tradition. And this tradition comes from Arabic tradition, from Byzantium tradition, from ancient tradition and Roman tradition. And before this, from Egypt and Mesopotamian tradition.
Thank you so much, Philip, for taking 3 hours of your time. Wow. To share.
Excuse me, Lada, but this topic was really important, and I hope you like this lecture.
Well, I've learned so much from you, and you synthesize the teachings of Vince Duno, Peter Dunov, and Rudolf Steiner, and astrology so powerfully. You make sense out of all of this.
If you wish, I will make your personal horoscope.
I love that.
Interpretation for 1-2 hours.
But for me, that was fascinating because I was, wow. I feel a bit overwhelmed even. But I feel more overwhelmed with what's happening in the world and the coming of Ahriman that Rudolf Steiner said there is no way we can avoid it, but it depends on us whether it basically destroys the humanity, not on disappearance of humanity, but of the soul.
Temptate the humankind. Yeah. But Christ's forces in human beings and humankind will win the battle.
Yes.
This is written.
Amen. We need that hope.
Yes.
We need that hope. Thank you so much again for the fascinating.
Thank you, Lara.
And the most inveterate astrology fans watched it to the end. Maybe others will have time over the coming days. And you can check out this 3D chart. I'll be exploring more of it on Astroman. Fascinating stuff.
Watch there the seminars, 35 series like this. You see now what is the level, and come to lectures. You will see from ancient traditions in conference to the modern tradition, and you will learn, for example, what is the divine face of Venus. I will make a video of this. I make a video of this face of Venus, and you may see this with your personal eyes. That's why come to the conference.
Thank you. Have a great night, everyone.
Thank you, Lada. Thank you for